Talismans are a brand new concept introduced in Black Ops 4 Zombies. They allow the player useful abilities and advantages for the entirety of a singular Zombies game. These abilities and advantages include things like discounted prices for the perks Pack-a-Punch and Shield, the ability to never lose perks, the ability to start with an SMG, AR, or LMG, or even quality of life things like better shield durability, increased and persistent armor, or starting with an upgraded specialist weapon. All of these things are beneficial to the player, and having these small yet convenient advantages should incentivize the player into using these talismans. Yet, during the duration of Black Ops 4 Zombies, the talisman system was one of the least popular aspects that players utilized to its fullest. Rarely did you hear the community talking about a powerful talisman or their favorite talisman to run. Instead, it seemed as if no one used talismans at all. Why is that? What could Treyarch have done differently to better incentivize the use of talismans to players? Today, we're taking a look at how to fix talismans. There are two fundamental problems with the talisman system, both of which can be explained by supply and demand. First, talismans are not high in demand. Second, there's not a healthy supply of talismans. So let's dive into these two aspects and see what Treyarch could have done better. Starting off, the demand. Perhaps the easiest problem to see with the talisman system, the demand for talismans is nearly non-existent. The reason being is that a lot of the abilities and advantages the talismans give you are not that enticing. A large majority of talismans revolve around reducing the price of items such as perks, Pack-a-Punch, and the shield. Another majority of talismans revolve around keeping perks after downing or beginning the match with a perk. While these are technically good advantages, they aren't all that great or game-changing. The difference in price is usually around 1,000 points, which in the Black Ops 4 point system is at most 12 zombies worth of points. So to spend a whole talisman slot on a discount that is only 12 zombies worth of points difference really isn't all that much of an advantage at all. Similarly, there is a small portion of talismans dedicated just to giving you a leveled up specialist weapon, which again sounds great, but if you're going to be using your specialist weapon anyway, the amount of time you need to rank it up is pretty minimal. And generally speaking, you won't need the power of a level 3 specialist weapon until much later into the game, in which you should be using the weapon enough to rank it up anyway. The last big group of talismans revolve around granting the players SMGs, ARs, and LMGs from the start of a match, which again, sounds like a great advantage, yet that same logic we used for the specialists can be used here. Due to the gradual nature of the Zombies game mode, by the time you feel like you need an SMG, AR, or LMG, you will probably have access to any number of wall weapons in the box in order to get those more powerful weapons. Most of these talismans will be completely irrelevant once you have fully set up. Most of these talismans do not make a significant impact on the long-term gameplay of any given Zombies match. The solution to this is simple, yet complicated, and not as easy as many people may think. The obvious solution is to incorporate more useful talismans, make them more desirable to players so that players actually want to use them. So let's discuss some ideas I had with talismans that Treyarch could implement in the future. I think talismans should emphasize and exaggerate the positive qualities about the Zombies game mode, and especially the positive aspects about Black Ops 4 Zombies. For example, there is a huge host of talismans that could have very fun interplay with the perk system. Have a talisman that gives you an extra perk slot by default, or get crazy and have an even rarer talisman give you 2, 3, or even 4 extra perk slots. The perk modifier is one of the best additions to Zombies that Black Ops 4 introduced, so why not have a talisman that activates the modifier slot for a perk that isn't in the Odin or Tonic perk slot? Or even, let's get crazy here, for an epic talisman, have all of your perks have their modifier active. Now here's another crazy idea. How about talismans that double up as perk abilities? For example, Speed Cola, a whole talisman that allows you to reload faster. Now, this doesn't replace the Speed Cola effect after you've bought all your perks, but rather it stacks on top of it so you reload even faster with this talisman. Or how about a Stamina talisman that stacks with the Stamina perk, but if you don't want to use the perk, you can run this talisman and therefore you freed up a perk slot so you have even more perk variety. How about a talisman that gives you an extra weapon slot? Instead of the mule kick icon next to your weapon, you get the talisman icon. Of course, this would mean that if you did run mule kick and this extra weapon talisman, you could get 4 weapons. These perk talismans would increase the already fantastic perk variety Black Ops 4 Zombies allows. But we don't need to stop with the perks. We can emphasize other aspects of zombies as well. For example, how about a talisman that increases the amount of XP you get, increase the amount of weapon XP you get, or we can get crazy and increase the amount of points you get in-game, or even, get this, increase the rate at which you get Nebulium Plasma. One of the most underutilized things in Black Ops 4 is the custom mutation options. Why not have talismans bring custom mutation aspects into the official game of play? For example, having a talisman that reduces and another that completely removes heavy boss zombies, catalysts, and vermin enemies. However, we could also have talismans that increase all of those special zombie rates, because oftentimes there are challenges revolving around killing those. So having a talisman that increases those spawn rates would allow players to complete those challenges faster, and that would create an awesome feedback loop for the player to keep playing. Keeping on the mutations mindset, how about a talisman that gives players better box luck, so you pull better weapons out of the box more frequently? Or a talisman that allows the box to be at some, if not all, box locations permanently? Or a talisman that increases the chances or guarantees a specific weapon type from the box, for those players grinding out a specific weapon for camos or to complete a challenge, or just want to use a specific weapon. All of these talismans have a meaningful impact on the player's experience for the entirety of a zombies game. They are powerful enough to justify using, yet are balanced due to the one-time use mechanic of the talisman system. If these types of talisman were implemented, I believe the demand for talismans would increase, which is one step closer to a more fun and engaging system than what is currently implemented. In Treyarch's defense, there can be some niche situations where current talismans can be useful and impactful. There's a group of talismans that give you an additional piece of equipment, a small but useful buff. There is a talisman that increases shield durability. There's a talisman that allows you to keep armor even after your specialist has finished. But you get the point. Not all the talismans currently in the game are completely useless. In fact, a lot of these talismans, even the one I listed at the beginning of the video, are incredibly useful when completing contracts and challenges, because they help you set up your character faster, they make getting specific challenges done faster and easier. So if there are some talismans that are actually useful and beneficial to the player, why do some players still not utilize them to their fullest extent? The next piece of the puzzle is talking about the player's supply of talismans. The problem is simple. Players don't have a consistent, reliable, and fast way of getting talismans. The only way players consistently get talismans is by the 75 Nebulium Plasma spin in the laboratory. Granted, there is still a chance that spinning the 30 Nebulium Plasma spin could get you a talisman, but let's take a look at what it takes to get Nebulium Plasma. The exact formula for Nebulium Plasma is this. You need to get 1,600 XP within a 3-minute time period, and you will be awarded with a single Nebulium Plasma, which means you are limited to a maximum number of 20 Nebulium Plasma per hour of game time. Which means you need to play at least an hour and a half of a zombies game just to spin the 30 VAT system, just to get a chance of getting a talisman. Unless, of course, you want a guaranteed talisman with the 75 VAT spin, which means you will spend 3 hours and 45 minutes just to get one single guaranteed talisman. As if that wasn't bad enough, there are a total of 34 talismans in the game, which means you could spend days, hours, weeks of in-game time without getting one specific talisman. To add on top of this, you could use that extra 30 to 45 Nebulium Plasma that you spent on the 75 VAT spin to spin the other VATs to get more elixirs, which are, generally speaking, more useful. And this is the fundamental issue we have with the talisman system. They aren't valuable enough to justify the hour and a half to 3 hour and 45 minute time it takes to get just one. Luckily, unlike the problem with the demand aspect of talismans, the supply aspect is much simpler to correct. And I mean it. It's simple. In the laboratory, guarantee a talisman for every type of spin. That's it. Now, of course, that comes with the new problem of why would someone spin the 75 VAT spin over the others? But that is a problem Treyarch has already solved. Simply have that 75 VAT spin guarantee a higher rarity of both Elixir and Talisman. This would allow players to have a much more consistent supply of these talismans, which means they would have much more to spare, which means they would actually actively use talismans, which is the reason they were implemented in the first place. Now, another solution, which I will go into detail in a future video, is to increase the supply of Nibelium Plasma. Whether this means increasing the amount that is earned every 3 minutes, or decreasing that 3-minute time period into a 2-minute or 1-minute time period, allowing us to earn a maximum of 30 or 60 Nibelium Plasma respectively in an hour. That would allow players to feel like the VAT spins are more attainable and allow them to spin for talismans and elixirs more frequently, giving a better supply system to talismans as well as elixirs. I wholeheartedly believe in talismans. I've been trying to use a talisman every single game I play in Black Ops 4, and I've been having a lot of fun seeing what I, and many others, missed out on during the peak of the Black Ops 4 Zombies season. Yet, after using talismans so frequently, I have clearly seen the inherent issues with the entire system. I don't have enough talismans, and they certainly aren't as impactful and enticing as they should be. With these 2 core changes that I proposed, both of those fundamental flaws would be solved. With my changes, the talismans would be more fun to use, more game-changing, and more impactful. Not only that, but players would not feel the need to hoard up talismans and save them for special situations. Rather, they would be encouraged to play with them and find the fun in actually using them. I really hope the talisman system returns in the future of Treyarch Zombies. I think there is so much untapped potential sitting on this gold mine of a mechanic. If you haven't used talismans, I implore you to give them a try. They are minor, they don't change the game that drastically, but the concept of them is fantastic and definitely something that needs to be admired. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe for more Zombies content. And until the next absolutely beautiful Zombies morning, I'll catch up with you guys later. And as always, stay beautiful.